So here we are in LaserCut 6.1, which is my preferred laser program of choice. So you'll see down this side, now this is drawing tools and manipulating tools. Across the top, normal type tools, organizing files and zooming in, out and what have you. This is do and undo. And this section here is for simulation, which I'll show you a bit later. Over this side, now this program allows you to operate the laser directly from a computer, a Windows 10 computer, that is. Most lasers, and certainly my laser, operates via its own built-in little computer, so it is actually, you can operate the laser totally by itself, but this is the program that, should we say, writes the G-code, and it is essentially a CAD-CAM program for lasers. We'll get to this section up here when I've done some drawing. This section here, you can move the laser head around, which is in the X and Y positions, and when you've got an XY position, you can then choose to make it a particular datum point. Then my particular laser has a motorized, shall we say, Z-axis, as opposed to a lot of cheaper lasers, I suppose, hand operated. This one will automatically set the focus of the laser. This is laser on, or a test, or a flame cut. We're not going to worry about those. Start, pause, stop. Like I say, you can, sort of operate the laser from this computer program. And you transfer the program that this writes to your laser via this button here. So we need to draw some geometry, and then we will set the laser power settings and speed up. So it's very, very simple. So we want to draw a rectangle. Now you can draw it anywhere on the screen at all, so long as you can get it in a particular area. So I'm going to start off here just roughly, and I'm going to left click, draw it down, and then release, and it turns red. So my next job now is to give this area, or this rectangle, a specific dimension. So I go up here, click that, which alters the tool so I can select, and then when I come over a particular line, you've noticed it turns to like a cross. Now I can right click and pull out a dialog. Now I want to size this, make this a particular size. Now this is the aspect ratio. Now I want to take that off because I want to individually alter these. Now in the X, which is across this line, I want that to be 190. Sorry, 195. 195. And the length, which is the Y axis down this way, I need that to be 410. And we click OK. So there is our main piece. That's the size of just one end cover. So I'm making a front and a back. But what I need to do is put an area of air holes, because I'm going to have a computer fan. So I need to make some holes here to allow the air to come through. So we're going to zoom in here. First of all, let's position this somewhere nice and easy there. That's good enough for me. So what I want to do is I want to work in this top section here, and I'm going to draw another rectangle, and I want to come just roughly here, and I want to draw it about that size. Now I want this 90 millimeters by 90 millimeters. And press OK. Oh, I didn't want that. So if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, because you can come up here, click that, and it goes away. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw another box. This is just my method of doing this, and I'm going to place it on here because I want it to be 20 millimeters from that edge, and I'm going to draw another one. This is just a quick reference I use. So left click, size, so I want this to be 20, and it's okay, it doesn't matter about the length. These are just references. Size 20. Okay. So now I'm going to select the box that we do want, and I'm going to position that because I haven't moved this one over. Okay, that's on the line up there, that's on the line there now, and so you notice as you move, as I approach the line over here, it will change color to yellow. Just there. That tells me it's exactly on that line. And that's exactly what I want. Because I know now that's within 0.1 of a millimeter, and that is fine. You know, we're just cutting a little bit of plastic. In actual fact, as for a laser, that is fine. No need to go any more exact than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this. Now there's several ways you can do it. You can highlight it, press delete on your board. That's the easiest way. So that's the way we're going to use now. Just press delete on your keyboard and it goes away. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it some air holes. Catch out of this, come down, position it roughly where we want it. Try again. Oh, why? We're going to go 10. I did notice that probably we could go maybe 18. Try it. Oh, see, no gap. Come out of that. And we'll go 8. We'll go 15. And we'll go 2mm gap. Press OK. Okay, so we can go one less, and we can probably go three more. So we'll come out of that, we'll reverse that, and we're going to go in here and say 7, 2, we'll go 20, 2. See what that does. That's okay. That's near enough what we want. So I'm going to accept that. But what I'm going to do is gather these up here and delete them. Then I'm going to go in here, draw a box around all these. Okay, so I've selected all these now, and I'm just going to move them up slightly, so I will zoom in a bit like that. That's enough. Catch out of this and just move them up. Just realign them slightly. Just get it roughly in the middle there. I'm happy with that. That's fine. Doesn't need to be any more exact than that. Now deselect. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to zoom out and then zoom back in, because what I'm going to do is I am going to select and I am going to make a copy of this. Come here. So what we want to do, we want to make a copy in the X. So we'll leave this one, leave the Y. We don't want to make copies up here. So just say we want to have 2 copies, and we want a gap of 5mm, and it should make it over here like that. And save, because we've just done quite a bit of work to lose anything, so I always manually save after every major operation. So what we can do now is select the small square on each section, because we don't want to cut that out, we want to leave that. So and this one, because we just want these little squares. Now there's something to note here. In the program you can set up, when you're setting your program up, where you want your datum point to be on your work. The datum point on, or the machine datum point, is over here in this corner. That's where the laser head lives at rest. But this is the start of the work, denoted by the little blue box there, just on the tip of that corner. That's where you set up the start of the job. Now the yellow box that you will see on all of the little squares and all of the big squares, the laser, once you set it this datum point and you set the laser to go, will come over here, and that is its entry point into the material, wherever you see that yellow little square. And it will do the same for all these as well. So what we need to do now is to set up all these different cuts on two separate layers, because what needs to happen with the laser is we need the laser to set its datum point here, then come and start the job and cut out all these little square holes first, and then all these square holes second. Then third, we need to cut this one out, then come back and cut this one out. Because otherwise, if you didn't tell the laser in which order to cut, well, it could come in and cut this, try to cut this out first, then cut these, and it just doesn't work. Because this piece of material could move, and it wouldn't cut in the right area. So what we're going to do now is set it up on a layer. So this, so select these, shift, select. Okay, now I don't have to choose a color because they are already black. Okay, so they're on the black layer. Now I'm going to show you what happens to choose a different layer. So select, shift on your keyboard, select, and come and go on the blue layer. And the blue layer automatically comes up here then, and you notice that the actual lines on the drawing have changed to blue. So it's indicating to you now in a visual way that, okay, these are black, they're drawn in black, so they're on a black layer. These are drawn in blue, so they're on a blue layer. So that's how to determine a layer, and indeed a cutting order. So now what we're going to do is tell the laser how much power to use and how quickly to move through the material to cut this. So what we do is come over here, we're already set on cut. If we double click on that, we can open this up and say, well, we want it to engrave, or what we want it to do. We want it to cut. So double click, and then this dialog box comes up. Now then, this is where a lot of people get slightly confused. Now we are cutting in 1/4 inch plastic or acrylic plastic, which is really the only type of plastic you should have in your laser. Because what a laser does is when the laser hits the material, it evaporates it into a gas. And you should have an active carbon filter and a good filtration system, because you can poison yourself, or long term it is possible to cause cancer. Okay, so now we come to set the laser speed and feeds and power. Now I know through experience, and you can actually find this out through trial and error. Don't go straight in when you get your laser. Don't go straight in and think that you know, or even attempt to do a complex job, because you know you need to start right off at the very beginning and just start cutting little squares. Every material requires a different setting of speed and feeds. Now I know, because I want to have a nice flame cut edge. It's called a flame cut edge, a polished edge then. Now, so I don't want the laser moving through too quickly. So I want, now we're working in millimeters here, so it's 8 millimeters per second. So it's 8.0. I can put that. Not interested in that. Now this, what you're telling the laser here, or what this setting is, this is the initial punch through of the laser. Now it's quite hard for the laser to actually punch a hole straight through the material and, you know, sort of start the cut. So what you do, you give it a little extra power. So we're going to say laser operate at 50%. So these are percentages, this is measurement. Now I've got a 100-watt laser, and although this is 50% output of the laser, it's actually going to be about 65 to 70 watts, because this reading here, or this measurement here, doesn't actually relate in a linear fashion to the power output of the laser. If you look at some of my other videos, I do explain about that. Now, so that's the strike of the laser. You know, I was punching holes straight through to start the cut. Now this is in the corners. Now you get something called laser beam lag. Now the laser can lag behind slightly. So what I normally do is say, okay, 50% in the corners too. And that's just the, you know, the way of I have found works best. Whatever you use to start the laser off, use in the corners as well. Now then, run-in power. Now you can knock it back down a little. So I'm going to say 45%. Now power 1, power maximum, minimum, I always set the same, because, you know, we're not etching anything here, we're just doing a straight cut. Just 45%. Now this figure here, if you don't have two laser beams in your laser, you don't require this. This is for a machine that's set up for, say for example, a 100-watt tube and maybe a 300-watt tube. One used for cutting, 300-watt tube. One used for engraving or etching or cutting things like plastic, like we are. So you would use that if you have two laser or a two laser beam machine. Now this one, I always use blow-in for whatever I'm doing. You know, there's the blow-in part of this is the little compressor that runs air through the nozzle of the laser. Now that serves several purposes. It keeps the lens, the lower lens, cool. It keeps it clean, and it also blows the gas and debris out of the cut. There's no reason not to have it working. Anyway, it's there if you want to choose not to. Now this is if you have, you know, if you want to do multiple layer cuts. That's normally used for something like 3D etching. And this, you would fill in this X and Y coordinates if you had a piece of material or you was doing a cut in a particular area on the bed here, and you know, you were using the machine home position as a start. Okay, you'd fill this in and the machine would go directly to whatever you set this as set in here and start cutting. I don't use that ever. Okay, so really that is all you need, and you will get to know this with experience. Fly cutting, we're not going to worry about that either, so I'm going to say OK. And it's done it. So now we come to the second one, and it's exactly the same process, because it's the same material and we're going to cut it the same. So it's 8mm, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 45% and 45%. Blow in, that's it, done. And you know, once you get used to your laser, it's really as quick as that. Okay, so there we have it. So now what I'm going to do is save those files. I'll actually save it to my desktop, so you can go here to download and output the file to the desktop, and we're going to call this and we'll save it to the desktop because this computer is not actually connected to my laser. I have another computer on the laser, so we'll transfer over to that.